Amulet's about two kids who've lost their father in a tragic car accident, and they're forced to move out of the city because they can't afford to live without their father's income. So their mother moves them out to an old ancestral home, pretty much out in the boonies. And they move the first night that they're there. This creature comes out of the basement and kidnaps their mom and takes her into this other world that the kids are going to have to go into to save her. And but essentially it's about the kids having to grow up incredibly fast and become parents themselves when their parents are basically taken out of the equation. Well, the idea for Amulet came in two parts. I originally had this idea after I graduated college to do a fantasy graphic novel about two kids who find these giant puzzles underneath the house that they moved into. I didn't quite know where that story went until about 6-7 years later. I had gone through a lot of stuff. Basically, my parents had a financial crisis, and I had to help them out of it. During that time, I learned a lot about myself and about my parents that I actually wanted to talk about. Like, I wanted to talk about that situation. So that became the subtext for the story, and that's when the two came together. And it seemed like the right time to do a book like this. And I thought, okay, well, I think I'm the right guy for this. I have the story, so that's how it came together. Amulet's look and feel is inspired by all sorts of stuff that I like. So that includes a lot of video games that I've grown up on, a lot of movies, mostly movies. I was a film student back in college, and I'm still a huge film geek. And so most everything is informed by the look of cinema. And I think that the book ends up feeling kind of like you're watching a movie. The Final Fantasy video games, the early ones, really inspired me in terms of the large open world fantasy aesthetic, which actually isn't in place until book 2. Book 1 is inspired a little bit more by 80s fantasy films. Like Spielberg produced and directed The Goonies, and I think it's got a bit of The Goonies, and it feels like E.T. and then also it's mixed in with Hayao Miyazaki's work. Miyazaki, who's an animator in Japan, who makes a lot of fantasy-based films, and it was basically a mix of those elements: the '80s fantasy, sci-fi, with the Japanese, with Miyazaki's work, and I just like it, so it all kind of came together. Yeah.